Space, the final frontier. The lesser known second to final frontier, however, is here at the Gateway to Outer Space, the Kennedy Space Center in the great state of Florida. This is where rockets are launched into the void of space. And this building, the Vehicle Assembly Building, is where those rockets are put together. Without it, there would be no moon missions, no space shuttles, and definitely no trips to Mars anytime soon. But let me get to the point. I'm going to be building this big complex in today's video, as well as a little bitty rocket at the end. So let's jump right into this build. And here we go, starting off with the beautiful blueprint and layout, as you can see here, as we always do. The blue right here, the blue wool, that's the main vehicle assembly building. And I decided to make a pretty big chunk of this area, a lot bigger in the end than I initially thought I would be doing. But anyways, we'll get to that as we start building through it. But the yellow here, you can see me building, those are the tracks that the rockets come out of. And they kind of take these tracks all the way to the launch pad, which is a few miles away, just for, I think it's for safety reasons, but they're a few miles away. And these big road tracks are what the giant sort of crawler things guide the rockets onto. So yeah, those are really big pathways, like 30 meters wide. But here we are getting all the other sort of logistical things built up, a bunch of roads and a bunch of little parking areas. A lot of these things are just like open, empty field areas of asphalt and concrete. So I assume you could, you know, put some storage and stuff out here for whatever you really want, or it could just be parking spots. But you know, I'm just building it because it's there. I don't know the backstory or any of that. But this thing I'm building right here is a parking lot for the building that we're going to be making very shortly here. Just getting a little bit of texture work done first, because a lot of texture is a good thing. This build actually is probably one of my most textured builds you will come to see as this build sort of unfolds. You can see the roadway, the big crawler pathway, is already really textured up and looking nice. And then this area right here, I got a good texture going with some sand, or I guess I took the sand away, but I'll add it back in a second here. There it is. There's a beautiful sand, and then a bunch of coarse dirt and stuff like that, because it's an uneven, patchy sort of area here, and then a bunch of little more details here and there. Beautiful looking, fantastic. You can see I did not spare any expense with the texturing in the ground here. I wanted to get everything looking beautiful and fancy, and even the grass itself, you'll see me soon texturing the grass with a mix of moss blocks and green concrete powder. And then even in some spots I put green wool in spots. So yeah, I really went all out with the texturing here. And then you can see patches of short grass kind of poking out there. And the thing that I'm building right now, or at least in a few seconds, here we go. This is, I forgot the specific name for it, but it's essentially, I think it's a sort of mini vehicle assembly building for private areas, private places. I think Boeing uses this quite a bit. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this is like a mini vehicle assembly building for Boeing, I want to say, or maybe it's for Blue Origin, one of the rocket companies. But you can see right there on the left side, there's that big bay area, and so there we go. And then we're going to add a bunch of the smaller little details here, a bunch of sort of mini garage doors, opening areas, industrial type things going on here. Very industrial, I must say, and it looks very important. So I had to make sure to get everything in here, because that's the way that I like it. And then here we go, adding in the bay doors here for the main building here, and detailing that bad boy up, getting it all looking very pretty and very nice. Can't forget the roof details here. And there we go. This whole area is more or less done, other than for some texturing. And now we're coming down to the other side of this little road here, adding a big parking lot. I will say there are a lot of parking lots built in this video, so I will have to find something to talk about that isn't just me describing how a parking lot is constructed, because I got about one parking lot to talk about here before it gets old and you guys click off the video. But please don't, it's gonna get good. I promise, I'm begging. I'm on my knees right now, I'm begging. But here we go, adding in a bunch of parking spaces here. And what I will talk about, because I know I'm gonna get comments on it if I don't mention it, I said in the beginning of the video I'm gonna be building a little itty bitty rocket, But that rocket happens to be the Saturn V rocket, which, if you didn't know, is the rocket that they use in the Apollo missions to take astronauts to the moon, to land on the moon, and all that fun stuff back in the 60s and 70s. So very nice. And I'm mentioning this because the vehicle assembly building and this whole space center that I'm building right now is based off a modern model. So this is the up-to-date 2024 version of the Kennedy Space Center, and I'm going to be putting a 1970s moon rocket right in the middle of it. So just to sway away any of the comments saying, you know, ooh, yeah, it's not accurate to the lore, it's not historically accurate. I know it's a video game, guys. I'm making it because it looks cool. You might ask why I'm not building the SLS instead of the Saturn V rocket. You know, it's a more modern rocket. It's actually being used today. And to that I say, old moon rocket, very impressive, makes brain happy. And to make that a little bit more complex thought instead of just monkey brain thought, I think the Saturn V is, as of 2024, I think the Saturn V rocket is more iconic. It's been on more missions, obviously. It's been to the moon. It's a lot more historic than the current version, which is the SLS. And I will say, I hope I'm proved wrong. I hope in like 5 years from now, for you guys watching this video 5 years from now, in 2029 and beyond, hopefully the SLS has gone to the moon, and then even Mars, or even somewhere farther beyond that. So if you're commenting in 2029, let me see it down in the comment section below. Let me know how it went. Fantastic. But that is the reasoning for me building the Saturn V instead of the SLS or the Space Shuttle. Fun fact, those are the three big major things that were built in the vehicle assembly building here that I'm going to be getting to once we finish these big old parking lots and these palm trees and all this texturing. But the vehicle assembly building, the three big thingamabobs that they've built in the vehicle assembly building was the Apollo missions, which is the Saturn V, and then the space shuttle missions. The space shuttles were assembled in that vehicle assembly building, and the new SLS have all been assembled in the vehicle assembly building. So a very, very historical and important building to the space program, of course, obviously. I'm sure there was a bunch of other smaller missions that had rockets assembled in there, because there are some pretty big rockets that are being launched from the Kennedy Space Center. So yeah, there's that. And then as I was ranting for the past like 3 or 4 minutes, like I said, we still are building parking lots. So just fantastic. You gotta love parking lots. I should name this video Building Parking Lots in Minecraft instead of building the vehicle assembly building, because this is really 90% parking lot and 10% cool big building. But we should be getting to the actual building itself here pretty soon. This is the last parking lot before I get to the actual interesting part. So yeah, and this was, I will say, this was an annoying parking lot to build because it's at an angle, so I had to build every single parking lot at an angle as well, which was a little annoying. But it's all right. It's for the video. It's for you guys. I'm doing it for you guys. But here it is, the big important part, and I can see that we are starting off with the big doors here. These big gray things right here you can see me building. There are big doors so that the rocket can come out once it's done being assembled and it can actually fit. So those are what the big doors are for. And then we're going to come around in a big circle and go around and detail each individual wall. So here we are onto the back side. We got this cute little detail here, nothing too crazy. Nice little details there, and then the same design is going to be done on this side. I just used World Edit and flipped it over right there because it's pretty much the exact same thing. And then here is the final side here, which is a lower bay. This is where I believe a lot of the space shuttles were kind of stored in here, and a lot of parts for rockets are stored in this little area. So this is the low bay, and then the big building in the background you can see, that's the high bay. So there's that fun stuff. And then this is probably my favorite part of the video, more favorite than the rocket building. I love the US flag here, and I love the NASA logo that I build in a few moments here. The US flag I had to finick with a little bit just to get the stars looking on all good, and there are 13 stripes and there are 50 stars on that, so there you go. But this NASA logo, holy smokes, this might be my favorite logo that I've ever made in Minecraft, because this thing turns out so good. It looks so fantastic. Look at it, just look at that thing there. It does help that it is a giant logo sitting on the side of this building, so that I could get the most detail out of it possible. But still, regardless, look at that freaking logo. I mean, that's the NASA logo right there as it flies out of frame, and we go to build some small insignificant little building. But I really do love the way that that logo turned out. I don't know how else to say it. That might be my favorite logo that I've built in this game. And then obviously the US flag looking pretty nice as well. We can't discount that. But here we are coming down here and working on, like I said, some little insignificant building. I don't know what goes on in this building. Probably some utility type stuff. Somebody can tell me, but just some industrial utility type things over here, being shadowed by the beautiful vehicle assembly building itself. And there we go. We are getting a little more texture work done. And then once we finish this area, we're going to go to the other side of the assembly building, and we're going to build a building that I actually can tell you about. So this building right here is also, I should say, this is the last building that we're going to be building in this episode, other than the rocket itself. But this is the Mission Command Control Center area. So this is where everybody does pretty much the launch stuff. And these windows, or this wall right here, is going to be turned into big windows that will be, that are facing the launch pads. So you can see it's at an angle. It's because it's facing all of the launch pads, so you can get a good view of the rockets as they are sitting on the pad and as they flying up. So you can kind of, I guess, monitor how they're doing. But there we go, and it looks very, very nice, especially at an angle. I will say, angle work, building at an angle is pretty easy, as long as you know the sort of angle that you wanna build at. It's kind of just repeating the same pattern and doing that over and over again until you get sort of the building shape that you want. Obviously, for a rectangle, it's a lot easier if you're not working with a rectangle. If you're doing some weird shape at an angle, I guess it could be a lot more difficult. But for this situation here, this sort of mission control building was pretty easy to make. A bunch of straight lines, which I love for angle work. Beautiful, fun stuff. You can see me in the background there, adding a bunch of more texturing in the ground. And there is a little bit of road area that I was working on behind the mission control building that kind of got blocked off by the building itself. If we turn here a little bit, you might be able to see it come into frame a tiny bit there, but we're going to finish off with another beautiful parking lot here before we come to the final part here, which is the rocket itself, the Saturn V rocket. And before we build the rocket, first I should say, we have to build the crawler, which is the big vehicle that kind of rolls the rocket out of the vehicle assembly building, and it carries it all the way to the launch pad. So that's what I'm building right now. It's got these giant tracks. They are 3 meters tall, and they are, I forgot how long they are, I think 12 meters long, each individual track. And obviously they're carrying a whole lot of weight. So there's the actual crawler itself, and then this is the pad that the rocket's going to be put onto, and here is the start of the Saturn V rocket. I actually built this rocket, fun fact, like 5 years ago, and spoiler alert, it turned out a whole lot better now than it did 5 years ago. Believe it or not, 5 years worth of Minecraft building experience makes you a better builder, so that's fun and dandy. And then here we go, getting some nice details here. You can see the American flag. I used TNT to get that sort of stripy design, which I know it's existed. It's not my idea by any means. That's been here in Minecraft for a long time. But I kind of strayed away from using it because I don't think it looks very good. But at the distance that you're viewing the flag from, you can hardly tell that it's TNT, so it really does just look like stripes. And so in this situation, I did go ahead and use TNT for that flag design, and I think it turns out really good. And there we go, we got the whole rocket here, and you can see it's a freaking big rocket. This is the second biggest rocket to ever launch in history as of 2024, just behind SpaceX's Starship, which is like a few meters taller than it. But you can see it's still getting overshadowed by the giant freaking vehicle assembly building. That's how big this freaking building is. So there we go. And then the final part of this video, we are adding the control tower, I guess. The tower, I don't know what it's called. I don't remember what it's called. I'll remember in 10 seconds when I finish this video, like I always do. But there we go. We are adding the beautiful red tower, and coming to an end to this awesome video, we're gonna get into some cinematics here and get a good look at this awesome build here. You can see I opened the doors to the vehicle assembly building, and there it is. That's all I got for you guys. Enjoy these awesome cinematics. I hope you enjoyed this video. This was a lot of fun to make. Very, very fun. Most fun video I've done, I think, in a while, actually. So enjoy these cinematics, guys. Stay tuned for the next video on my channel. And until then, guys, have a great day, and goodbye! Thank you to all of my patrons. Thank you so much for supporting me. You guys are the best. And a big thank you to my $10 supporters, Gopnik Ataru, Gray Sweetman, Bowie, Walker Army, and King Salmon. Thank you guys so much. Stay tuned for the next video, guys. And until then, goodbye.